Let's go back a little bit about the overall program. And it was started by, who was the initial group when you started this program?
We came together as a community collaborative, which was
Okay.
wonderful. The first meeting we had was back in September of 2009. We came together from a facility, from a PHO standpoint, from a community law enforcement, and with the pharmacies. Coming
Okay.
together and trying to decide how can we build a program, because there really isn't templates that are out there. You really have to kind of take the information that's available and kind of build your program from the bottom up. So we initially started with, okay, will there be use? Will people be engaged and want to return their medications? If, we're going to speculate and hope that would be the case. We started
Right.
with one-day events. And our one-day events are wonderful. They're very simple. What you do is you come to one of the fire departments that are identified usually in the beginning of a year,
Right.
and you drive up, come into the fire department, you stop, you hand your medications over to our greeter. They will hand them a 5-question survey typically, and then our runners will take the medications from that car. They bring them to a sorting table. By that time, the resident has left. They're on their way, and the medicines are then being sorted, as Ron had mentioned earlier, by controlled and non-controlled. So a lot of people think that they're going to be scrutinized when they come in for the
Sure.
program, and that is not the case. You can bring whatever. We do not judge. We do not take a look and see what's there. You'll never be followed after the fact.
You don't have Captain
safe.
Pullen and other law enforcement standing
They
there
are
following
truly-
you out because you had controlled substance.
Right.
Right, okay,
They're truly
that's
there
good.
to assist to make sure that the controlled substance, we're following the letter of the law and
You
making
bet.
sure that it's being counted, it's being secured, and then it's being disposed of properly. And if there was any problems, we're really grateful that they're there. But we've
Sure.
never had any inclination of any problems whatsoever. It's a very safe, most people have always enjoyed coming through, especially since it's in a fire station.
Yeah.
It's kind of a field trip in a sense. So it's really enjoyable. We honestly, thank goodness, have never had a complaint in the 9 events that we've had. So we're very pleased about that. Did you have anything else you'd like to add to it?
Is there
That I may
anything-
miss?
These events have been pretty well received. I mean, what has your attendance on average been at these events?
Well, last year for our first year, we had 5 events. We had over 678 cars approximately come through the fire departments in the 5 different locations. And we collected over about 2,300 pounds of medication being controlled and non-controlled.
2,300 pounds of
Yes.
medication. Can you
And
imagine? I mean, just no.
Those pills are so tiny and light.
Yeah.
And to think once
Yeah.
you start to put them in there, and as Ron explained it wonderfully for me last time, when you put all these pills in there, there's no air. And when there's no air, it makes it much more dense.
Sure.
And, I just never really thought about it that way before.
Right.
As you're carrying your bottle of pills is not weighing that much. And so it was really a pleasant surprise, and we were really pleased with that type of turnout. On the controlled substance, we had about 272 pounds of controlled and non-controls that were returned.
Wow.
Very pleased about that. They did an assessment on the street value of that, and we were very pleased. If it potentially could have gone out there, it was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars that could have been turned around. So
That's a good point. Now, when we talk about street value, some of these drugs, that's a big issue for law enforcement.
Well, it's an issue, and part of our partnership there is the safety aspect of it too, because it's not just that we're trying to get the medications out of the cabinet, out of the cabinet because of family members or this or that, but those individuals that are taking them to sell them. All right, I mean they're still going to be going to another person, but the dealers, that are going to be utilizing that also, and making a lot of money.
And making a lot of money. Wow. Yeah, street value really jumps up on these medications, doesn't it? It's surprising.
Yeah.
Kind of scary too.
Usually when that happens, if someone is taking it, we've had stories where siblings are taking from other siblings for like their ADD or ADHD medicine. The value per pill is very worthwhile sometimes in their case when they're at school. They get some money, they can buy jeans, whatnot. And then their sibling is the one who's actually going to have the consequence because now their health is being in jeopardy.
Yeah, I've heard a lot at college campuses about, the Adderall and these types of things. People think, and I don't know if it's true or not, but they think, oh, if I just get one pill and buy it, it'll help me focus on my final exam. Or, there's a big belief about that. I know it's a big perception and very dangerous.
Yes. Well, Captain Pullen had mentioned about the yard cells. Another story that has been shared with us is children. It's been typically children it has happened to, where they will come to your home, they'll knock on the door, ask to use the bathroom. One will entertain the homeowner while the other one will go in and raid the medication cabinet. In these cases, they told me that they took all their medicines.
Wow.
But they didn't know it until they got that night. And Ron has said he's even received calls to where people have called saying, someone stole my medicine.
Right.
And what do? Typically it's your elderly. They don't have the means to be able to afford it without their insurance, and their insurance is only going to cover it once.
And you're going to answer the door for some kid and think, oh, poor thing, he needs to use the bathroom or she needs to use the bathroom. And they actually have a scam going. And I suppose even with young children, probably being trained by older siblings or maybe even parents that are desperate. I mean, it's hard times right now, and that's sad to think. So
just things to be aware of.
Be aware.
Not to be cautioned or scared, but just to be aware.
Yeah,
and just to be an informed consumer about that.
Sure.
So, and that's what we like to share, because I mean, these are things I never would have thought of.
Yeah.
I mean, you just like said.
I know. Who wouldn't let a kid come in their home and use the bathroom? I mean,
you don't need to keep
think
them in
about
your
it.
medicine cabinet either.
Okay, that's a good point. That's something to point out to our viewers. Where do you suggest?
Well, there's just other secure locations that you know. But as we all understand, we're all human nature. We want to do what's going to be easy for us. In the morning when we're taking our meds or before we go to bed, and so these are the spots. But they're if it's not too much of an inconvenience, if there's another place that an individual could hide them, I mean, it could be in their bedroom somewhere or in the kitchen in a different spot.
Quite often the kitchen, I use the kitchen for my morning vitamins, and then, if I have anything I need to take, I try to keep it in my nightstand. Right. So in that case, if you are letting somebody in, you can watch and make sure that they're only using your bathroom and you don't have that if you feel called to do so, and that would help a lot. Right. You're right. Rethinking things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and ideally, a bathroom isn't even necessarily the most appropriate place to even store medications because of the humidity and the variations in the temperature difference. Yes. It can create problems as far as the degradation of the medication itself.
So we should be putting it there. You're right.
To be in a cool, dry, dark place.
Yeah.
Would be the longer term for keeping your medication safe.
Yeah. Why do they even call them medicine cabinets? So we put in the bathroom. See, we associate and think, okay, all the medicine's supposed to go there.
The mouthwash you can put in there.
The mouthwash,
the shaving cream,
Yes, even though you've had some of that turned in. Okay.
Exactly.
What type of items are accepted?
Wow.
Basically everything except for hazardous materials for the most part.
Okay. Now, and would that be like bleach?
Bleach.
Oil,
we've had
paint.
Battery acids, muriatic acid that people have had to clean their driveways or their garage or basement floors, that type of thing. We've had to turn some of those things away. Most people are pretty cognizant about those kind of things. When we talk about medication, they're pretty good about that. We've taken back suntan lotion. We've had we've taken back some things that were even outside this country.
Oh my gosh!
We couldn't even identify because they were maybe herbal medications and things like that. People picked them up while they were traveling Far East and that type of thing.
Wow! Wow! Yeah. So what would be the strangest thing you've ever seen brought back? You have
Well, there's been quite a few. We did have in this last event. Someone turned in a very nice sized box of medication, and it turns out they were from Canada.
Oh.
And so when they moved here from Canada, they were concerned if they would get the same medications when they got here, so they brought all their meds with them, found out they could, and now they have brand new boxes. And so unfortunately those had to be destroyed because it's not in our native tongue.
Well, that brings brand new boxes. Can you ever reuse or give donate medications? Can you donate medications?
That's after we realized after our first event, because we had a lot of mail order medications that came through. We find that residents patients when they get their medications, again, first time use possibly the medicine, for first couple of doses didn't work for them or didn't have the strength or they had an adverse reaction. So now they have a 90-day supply typically of these medicines. And so when they were coming through, we took a look at that and said, where can we go? And we did. We found an organization who will take back. And it's with certain criteria. They have to be unused, certain time frame, certain types of medications, and we can return those back to this agency who actually redistributes them back here in Muskegon County for people who don't have prescription drug coverage.
That's good to know because we do have an awful lot of people in this county. I'm glad they stay local, and there's a lot of people that don't have pharmaceutical access. Right. We also have the Pharmaceutical Access Program, and I want to remind viewers of that at Muskegon Community Health Project. Stevie Ryle and Chris, our new pharmaceutical access worker, Chris Hall, they do a fantastic job of helping people with that if they have some needs and can't pay for it. So that's really important. But it's great that you can donate that back. Now, are there rules about the bottle has to be unopened, or
the only medications that we can actually reuse or can be donated in that stream have to be in their original packaging. They cannot have been repackaged by the pharmacy, whether it's mail order or a local pharmacy. In the original package, inhalers and things like that. Occasionally we've gotten some that are still in their foil wrapping and are still in packages that are sealed. we've gotten a variety of insulin syringes and Lancets and things like that. Again, because they've come through the mail order, they're in sealed boxes. Any type of tampering with the medication or repackaging of the medication renders them null and void, and then they have to be disposed of.
Right.
Okay,
So
you
there
said you hit on
guidelines.
something there, Lancets. I'm not sure if all of our viewers are familiar with Lancets. Is that the same as Sharps, and what are they, and what is
Well, the Lancets we're referring to they go into a lancing device for testing blood sugar, and that's very common. We have a very high diabetes population here in Muskegon County.
In layman's terms, it's the finger poker.
Yes, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Pretty common.
Yeah.
And we've had typically one of the things that we've seen with mail order is they get kind of on an auto ship program, so that every month or every couple of months these people are getting regular shipments
of
syringes and Lancets and test strips, and even after the person dies, they continue to ship them. It takes a very long time.
To get them off the list.
So all of a sudden we say we've got the ability to dispose of those. They come and they set up a big box, and now we've got 12 boxes of 100 test strips and another 10 boxes of Lancets, each containing 100 Lancets. So
now, is that the same thing as Sharps? What you hear? I hear Sharps thrown around a lot. Is Sharps and Lancets?
Sharps are your needles.
Sharps are just your needles.
Right.
Another name for needles. Okay.
Once a Lancet is used, it would be disposed of in the same way that a syringe would be disposed of. It would be considered Sharps and go into a Sharps container. These are unused and completely sealed.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about what is the danger? Obviously, they're sharp and they could hurt somebody, but what kind of danger do you see? Is there any street value to those?
Not necessarily.
No. Not any street value. Just
But there are people who do need them and do use them every day, and sometimes don't have the means to buy them. So what we've been able to do, we do receive them. We're able to bring them back to that particular agency, and they can redistribute those.
Okay.
Now, for the one thing that's really nice about our program is, again, a couple of events into it, we realized there was the Sharps program that was offered by the Muskegon County Health Department, but it wasn't as accessed as much as it had been. And so they wanted to see about a way to expand it. So they came to us and talked to me about how can we incorporate their Sharps program into our medication disposal program.
Okay.
And that's what we started, I think back in June, if I'm not mistaken, of last year, a slow rollout, and we started accepting Sharps, used Sharps. And
Used Sharps.
they need to come in appropriate containers. We prefer them to be in a hard surface or the actual Sharps containers themselves. And they can bring them in and we have them disposed of, and we give them another Sharps container to take home.
Okay, so people that use these on a regular basis are real familiar with. They have their
Sure.
Sharps containers. I mean, when they get these prescribed, the Sharps container probably comes with it, or I'm not real familiar. I know at the Health Project that we do provide those diabetes help for people.
Mm-hmm.
People will call up and ask about they need Sharps or they need. I don't work that program, so I don't see it on a regular basis. I'm not real familiar with it, and that's it's just good to know. Okay, we're going to take a short break again. When we come back, we're going to have some interesting medications to show you, even some age-old medications to see if you recognize them. So stay with us, West Michigan.